Hey guys, hope everything's going well. You guys know the drill. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and comment down below. Follow me on Instagram at AIH_sports. Alrighty, I got this card the other day. Sorry for that. And this is a 1972 number 410 Fergie Jenkins, and this is an autograph. Fergie Jenkins played for my Cubbies before I was born, and here's an autograph of him. And the other thing is, he was a Hall of Famer. And the price that I got on it, I couldn't believe it. It was about, I don't know, 22 bucks shipped. That's crazy. It's Beckett authenticated. And it's the off season, so yeah, everything's cheaper. I'm just looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, okay, if I need to get an autograph, or if I go get an autograph, I was about to go a few years ago in a town called Lombard, Illinois, which is maybe 35, 40 minutes from where I'm at. And I was planning to get Lee Smith's autograph, but then I was like, no, I'm not going to get it. I have to pay 25 bucks, and I don't know if there's any Beckett authentication over there. I'd have to probably pay a little bit more. So I'm thinking to myself, wait a second. If I could get this slabbed and shipped to me about 20 bucks, I consider it a deal, and it's a Hall of Famer, and then I could eventually sell it when I don't want to have it with me. So, yeah, I find it as a good deal. And on top of it, it is in the off season. So I believe these cards are cheaper in the off season. Everyone talks about, hey, you want to buy in the off season for baseball cards. Well, autographs, that's what I'm collecting, and I may be investing in some of them as well. So, yeah. Anyways, I wanted to get into this topic about the stock market and also regarding how some people compare it to sports cards, and I'm going to give my take on it. I think about a week ago, I think his name is Jeremy with Sports Card Live. He interviewed a guy, and they were talking about how the sports, or this guest talked about how the sports card market was similar to the stock market. And he used the example of market capitalization, and he was just going on about that. And I'm thinking to myself, no, I don't necessarily agree with the notion that the sports card market is like the stock market. Yes, a lot of people are treating the sports card market like the stock market, but you have to realize a few different components from the stock market and the sports card market. I would look at the number one difference between these two markets is that the sports card market, in my opinion, is more sensitive to interest rates, positive interest rates versus negative interest rates. And I've said this many times, but I will go over it again. In a time of positive interest rates, sports cards, while they may go up, it's not going to drastically go up as in a time where interest rates are negative. And right now, interest rates are negative, but they've been negative since March of 2020. There was a brief time where interest rates were positive. That was a buying opportunity. And now we're in a time of negative interest rates where it's probably a better time, in my opinion, to sell if you bought early on in 2018 where interest rates were positive as well. Now, in the stock market can thrive in a situation of positive interest rates or negative interest rates. So I think that's one key component. And I'm going to be doing a deeper dive on interest rates and this concept again. I'm going to show you articles from the past before even I was born. I'm going to show you some of the information that a lot of YouTubers they don't talk about. And I was trying to find online too. It's really difficult finding these concepts. But in my opinion, This is really important for the sports card market. The other notion I want to get at, the difference between the sports card market and the stock market, and I've also talked about this in a few videos, is liquidity. Okay, this week and the previous week, the stock market has been very volatile, and I'm pretty sure the S&P 500, which on a light volume day, and now it's high volume day when you have massive sell-offs, like earlier this week and last week, you probably had over 100 million shares traded in one day for the S&P ETF, the SPY. Those are a lot. That's a lot of shares. So when I try to buy 100 shares and I was trading around that, the bid and ask was within a penny. So I got in at the price that I wanted to get in at if I wanted to buy at any particular moment while the market was open. Now with sports cards, the problem, number one problem that I have with it, even though I do speculate in sports cards and also invest too, is there isn't that much liquidity in this game where you could see sharp increases because there isn't that much liquidity. Someone could pump it up, or the price could just drastically go down when demand drastically decreases. And I believe once more supply comes from PSA in the coming months, we're definitely going to see more downside pressure in some of these common cards. Now, once again, for the scarce cards, even though we're most likely going to be in a rising interest rate environment, maybe not 4 times as some traders are predicting, maybe a couple times, you're still going to see some record sales like you did with the Serena Williams card, which the Sports Illustrated for Kids card, which sold for over 100 some thousand dollars. So yes, you're going to see record sales for cards that haven't sold in a while. There's no doubt about that. But the thing is, there's no liquidity. So imagine the economy is in a credit crunch and someone bought that $110,000, needed the money. You don't know what the price is going to be in a fire sale. The Dwayne Johnson card, if you remember the Bumblebee when he was with the Miami Hurricanes, that card at its peak, I think in February and March of last year, sold for 90 grand. And that card, PSA 10, that card dramatically went down to $28,000 in a fire sale. Now the card has, I believe, gone up to 45 grand, but still, that's a huge decrease just within a matter of months. And the reason why it went down dramatically over what, a 60-70% haircut within what, 6-7 months, I believe, that is such a huge move. And if you looked at a stock would not go down. Like if you see an Apple stock, or just think of any big cap stock, I doubt you'd see a 70% haircut like that within 6 months. Maybe if the whole economy were to crumble, potentially, but in my opinion, you're not going to see that. So liquidity is the number two issue regarding the differences between sports cards and the stock market. And you could look at even older articles, just research on a database. I know it's hard to Google search this. You're going to have to maybe go to your library and go to maybe like the Chicago Tribune. I was just looking at some old Chicago Tribune articles because I live here and they provide that service. And I was looking at older articles from 25 years ago saying liquidity is a big problem. I did a search on Google Books. It talked about liquidity. Liquidity is a huge issue, and that's why I cannot compare the sports card market to the stock market. Now, I do believe you can invest in it, but you have to buy, in my opinion, in a time where you have basically deflation going on, or you don't have too much inflation in the economy. Right now, we have a lot of inflation. In my opinion, buying a $5,000 card is probably not the best idea. Granted, some people may get lucky, but most people, in my opinion, will not. Now, despite me saying the differences, there are some similarities. Some of the similarities include how there is a lot of emotion that goes into this, right? And if you look at, for instance, the stock market, people react very emotionally, and at these extremes, you could maybe use the CNN Fear Greed Index. I know some people are going to say, hey, why you want to use the CNN index? They talk about this and that. They're inaccurate. I'm not talking about their anchors. I'm talking about this index, CNN Fear Greed Index. In March of 2020, when the Fear Greed Index was 1, that was the time to buy, when everyone was fearful. And the same thing you could say about sports cards, right? If you just look at sentiment, everyone was very bullish in February and March of last year. And yes, I was gradually selling, but I wish I aggressively sold some of my cards at that time. And I would have made a killing at that time versus today. Yeah, I'm still making a profit selling some of those cards I bought in 2018, 2019, and even some in 2020. But the fear and greed aspect are definitely similar. There's a lot of emotion in these markets. And I also use Google Trends. If the trend is very, very low, I may want to aggressively buy the stock market or sports cards. On the other hand, if the sentiment is close to 100, that's probably not the time I want to get in. The other thing I wanted to look at in terms of similarity is there's usually a rotation of capital. And I remember watching this not CNN, CNBC guy. He was on Fast Money. It was over a decade ago. And he was talking about rotation, rotation, rotation. So, long story short, these hedge fund guys, and you could even say sophisticated investors, if they have an asset that is overvalued, they want to take profits and they want to shuffle their capital around. They want to move it to a market that is quiet or that they believe is going to go up. Maybe they've looked at some technical analysis, maybe they're looking at some fundamental analysis. Whatever metric they're using, they want to go from one market to the other. And if you notice in the collectible space, you're starting to see that last year was really hot and 2 years ago was really hot in sports cards. And now it appears that the rotation is going into Marvel. And I see it on YouTube a lot. A lot of the content creators are going into it. I know some people, though, have been buying these cards for years or before the interest or the level of increase in the interest. I did see this one young lady who's a Pokemon gal. She is just showing off her Marvel cards now. Before, I guess it was Pokemon for some of these guys. So I guess what's also going on is the Pokemon people may be frustrated with Pokemon, so they're thinking, what can I invest in now? What can I speculate? It's Marvel. I think that's where people are going now. And just like the stock market, you're seeing a rotation of capital. You're seeing a rotation of capital right now. And I know some people are gonna like bash Marvel, the Marvel cards for those individuals that are buying cheap. They made a killing, and I believe in this one concept, even though it's usually involving, I believe it's inventory FIFO, first in, first out. The individuals that bought in early, they're first in, and the ones that are first out, they're going to make a killing. Just like with sports cards, those that were first in, 2018, 2019, for those that were just getting back in and they're getting out and they got out last year, they're doing fine, in my opinion. People that bought at the top, the last in guys, LIFO, last in, first out. So they bought in first and then they sold it as well really early, and they're taking a huge loss. So it's just a few similarities, few differences that I've noticed. I wanted to ask you, what do you guys think are some similarities between the stock market and sports cards, and what are the differences? I know some people may have differing opinions. I would like to know. I know this is a different type of video, but still I'm interested in talking about these things. For some hardcore collectors, I understand they may not be interested, but this is my passion. It's not only sports cards. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't, comment down below, guys. Thank you.